The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the EU SME Centre European SME Week webinar series. My name is Fei. I am a senior consultant from the business development team of the Centre. This week, we're inviting you to a 5-part webinar series dedicated to preparing your business for entry to the Chinese market. We have selected the most essential questions raised by you over the course of the past year and invited industry experts to discuss practical solutions with you. Today, we have invited Mr. Carl Albers to tell you about the myth and truth about selling online in China. Today's webinar will last about 45 minutes. At the end of Carl's presentation, we will have a quick Q&A session. And I would like to remind you that on your screen, there should be a section for you to submit the questions throughout the webinar. As we will not be able to address all the questions on spot, we will gather those questions and get back to you after the webinar in the following days. We will also distribute the slides to the participants and upload them in our webpage for those who missed the webinar today. With that, we will be moving to today's very exciting topic, selling online in China. Sitting next to me is Mr. Carl Albers, a pioneer and successful entrepreneur in China's e-commerce business. Carl started his career with Ericsson Mobile and then moved into e-commerce by working in one of the first online payment service provider in Europe. He then set up Chinova, a JV with China Pay, to provide e-commerce solutions to both Chinese and overseas merchants selling online. Through this business, Carl has built up extensive expertise and network with China's e-commerce platforms. Now welcome, Carl.
Thank you, Fei. This sounds very good. Looking at my experience that I will share with you today, usually I start this with some slides about the center, what we do here, but we have moved these slides to the end of the presentation if we have time, and then dig into the content rather than spending time on that. So some of the things that I've learned through these 6-7 years helping overseas SMEs to get into China, I will share now. And some of the truths that I've encountered talking to managers and people in Europe about China is some of these 9 things I will tell you. China is a factory and not a viable consumer market. Consumers are not really sophisticated enough to like wine, etc. That's true when it comes to cheese, perhaps, but it's for sure there is a sophisticated market here. Sell online to China, you must open a local entity. If you have your servers outside China, that will make the e-shop too slow. Sorry. It's very difficult to get money out of China. Delivery takes too long for consumers to accept. Consumer regard .cn domain as a trusted company? Not true. Getting shipments through customs, there is simply too much hassle, and delivery fulfillment is just too costly. So these are some things that if you have this in mind, or your boss have this in mind, you should at least remember from this seminar that there was one person challenging all this. All right, so this is the agenda. Why China and why sell online? Who's buying? This is about the consumers here. How to market your products online, some things that will not work. How to sell online. There are different models how to do this, and there are some basic considerations, and I'll try to structure it a bit for you so you can make decisions. And then I will wrap up in the end with 2 cases, 2 companies that have gone about this in 2 different ways. So there will be some best practices and challenges. All right, I should speak a little bit closer. Is that better? Let's see. How? Yes, why China and why sell online? If you look at this graph, you will see on the upper right-hand corner a lot of mature markets. It's UK, Japan, US, Germany, and not much growth is going on at all there. On the left lower hand side, you will see China, Brazil, Russia, India, the emerging markets. And I think in December 2009, China surpassed the size of the US market already. So it's quite clear that China now is the largest market. It's the fastest growing one. It still has a very low penetration. And Chinese government support e-commerce, which is quite important. So no one knows how fast this goes, but no one will really challenge this idea that the market is still growing a lot. The growth rate is slowing down, but in now and in the future, China will be even more important for anyone who sells online in the world. So this slide has been used for several years in talking to SMEs in Europe when they are considering to go to expand their business, and the first thought they have is to go to the next country next to them. So Italians want to go to Germany or something in there, but please consider China is not very far away, and you have to do all the things anyway. You have to figure out the payments, the marketing, how to deliver, and how to be compliant. And once you've done that, you're really looking to the opportunity of the market size. So this is an important slide, I think. Consider China. Now, should we go for a traditional shop, a retail shop, or do e-commerce? That is the next question. And you see two columns here, and on the right side you see the internet penetration, basically, for a number of countries, and on the left-hand side you see the retail concentration, how much the top 20 retailers together, the top 20 retailers, what share do they command of the total market? So in UK, France, and Germany it's about 50%, but in China it's only 10-13%. So if you take all the really big retailers, you still will only have 10-13% penetration. So going e-commerce, you will immediately get 50%. So this is one of the reasons, one of the key reasons why e-commerce is interesting in China. So not looking at the users, but the value. Right, I'll try to speak a little louder. The value of the goods sold, this will be it. This is the combination of B2C, that's business to consumer, and consumer to consumer sales. And the actuals are up to 2011, I think, 2010, and the rest is a forecast. So you will see it's estimated 2014 is about 1,000 billion renminbi combined. But the interesting thing to remember here is that it's still a lot of C2C. So even at 2014, it will be estimated 60% will be C2C.
Sorry to interrupt here. Well, 60%, how does it compare to the situation in Europe?
Well, in Europe, I'm not sure there is a lot of C2C around. There is, but it's not any 60% for sure. We moved away from that for sure. And it's also true to say maybe some of this C2C in China is not really C2C. There are businesses in there. But anyway, this is important to understand. Another thing compared to Europe, Faye, is I think in Europe the e-commerce sales to share compared to retail sales is about 5%, or a little bit over 5%. In the US, it's also on average maybe a little bit less than 5% after all these years, and in China it's over 7%. And you will see some of the categories here with extremely high numbers, so you can't really think it's accurate, but I think they are. Right? So these are some of the main broad product categories you can see, and by far the apparel, clothes, fashion, shoes, etc. will be 35% of what's sold online in China. And on the right-hand column, you see this is estimated that by this firm to be 20% of all sales in China. So 80% will go traditional retail and 20% online. That is a very high number. And I doubt it a little bit, and we were sitting here talking with Faye, and Faye, what do you say? Do you buy everything in a retail store, or where do you buy your clothes?
Well, this is a personal question, but I admit that during the past year, I seldom made any purchase in the real store, and I have made all the purchase across all the categories listed here, mostly online.
Okay, I still think it's a little bit high, but these are the numbers. So after this slide, we're going to do a little poll, right? We're going to ask you now what product category you are in or you're interested in, or maybe you don't do products, you do services. So we're going to launch a question here for you, and there are five answer options, and if you can click that, it will be a whole lot easier to talk to you guys. So remember, if you don't do products at all, but some kind of intangible services, click the last one. I think things are progressing. Good, you're doing great, guys. Right? So we're about to close it right now, right? Okay. So let's see the results. These are results. All right. So we can all see it, right? This is, next time I will for sure change the categories, because we got 80% in the other segment there, so we can't really tell. But if it is a lot of services, that's really interesting. You may find this presentation too focused on products, but anyway, you're in good shape, because services will be easier for you to sell into China. Anyway, thanks a lot for that, and let's move on. So who is buying? What about the consumers here? Thank you. Just 2 weeks ago, we had the 11th of November, which is the Singles Day, or Double 11, and this is a remarkable phenomena. It started 2010. And it was very successful. It was a group of merchants. You can see the slide. The blue things are the number of merchants that participated in discounts that day. Only that day, 24 hours, a really crazy discount. And you can only buy it online. So this was carried on 2011 and 12 and this year. So you can see it's really crazy. I think it was 35 billion renminbi sold. And last year, it was 10 million unique visitors visited Tmall on the first second of Singles Day in 2012. So that's a lot. And this year, I think even other platforms like this started with Taobao, but now Jingdong, Suning, and other platforms is also doing promotions like this. So yes, that's it. If you look at, these are some statistics and profiles about the people that shop on Taobao. Now remember, Taobao is mainly a C2C site, but 60% of them would be between 25 and 35 years old and come from urban areas and might be students, white-collar staff, and women is catching up fast, almost half of it now. I think that if you would to consider all the other platforms, the age would be a little bit higher. You will see a lot of all ages really purchasing online. Another very important aspect of the consumers is the heavy spenders. Even though the people that spend more than 10,000 renminbi per year is only 7% of all the consumers, they do account for 40% of all the values sold. And if you look at the next category, between 5,000 and 10,000 renminbi, together they're 19, almost 20% of all the shoppers, but they account for over 60% of everything sold. And I think that's if you're a European company, you're selling into China, I think it's a good fit. You don't sell because you have the lowest price. You sell on brand, you sell on quality, you sell on some unique aspect. So these online buyers are really the ones that really are spending their money. They are the most active ones. So I think that's a good reason also why sell online in China. Now, marketing. All over the world, Google, Facebook, Twitter would be very good tools. Actually, you wouldn't really do without Google, could you? But all of them, none of them, I would say, is working in China for different reasons. So these are really not an option. You need some other tools, and there are a lot of other tools for each segment here or category. You will find 4, 5, 6 alternatives in China. And basically, there is no magic into do marketing in China. This is not like it's still on the earth, right? So if you have experience, you know your target consumer groups. If you talk to someone Chinese who is doing marketing here, professional services, you can transpose this and find this in a very cost-effective way in China as well. But you just need other tools to do it. And I don't have very much more to say about this today, other than that on Wednesday there is a webinar about at the same place, taking care of marketing. And yeah, you need some help, and you need just to find it, and it will work fine, I think. So, looking at how to access the market, you will typically need to consider if I'm going to stay outside China and do cross-border e-commerce, or if I would go inside and start a domestic legal entity here, or will I sell via a third-party platform, which is unusual, popular here in China. It has to do in how e-commerce was developing here. It's not like, I would say in Europe we will have eBay and Amazon, and that's pretty much the end of it. And then you go to the individual companies and buy, but not in China. So if you are staying outside China and you are using your own site, maybe you sell into 2-3 countries already, and you want to open up China. In this instance, you would not need a so-called ICP license. That stands for Internet Content Provider License. And that is something a little bit complicated to get, and don't worry about it. In this case, you do not need it. You will need someone with payment services to collect money in China and deliver it for you in Europe, in your favorite local bank, in euros. And that's readily available from Alipay, ChinaPay, 99Bill, and some other companies. You will need local marketing, someone who can help you do marketing, and an international express service delivery. The usual 3-4 big ones will do fine. Now, if you're still outside China and you want to use some of the platforms, you can consider eBay and Amazon in your market. There are Chinese consumers that find their way there. They're not very many, and you can try it. But next thing, if you want to access the platforms in China, you need a local partner to sign the agreement. And well, they do other things as well, but for sure they need to sign the legal agreement and take care of some payments and also help you to use the platform tools, the marketing tools of the platform. Now, if you want to move into China and go here, you will need an ICP license. And to cut it short, this is not given to wholly owned foreign companies. So you need to team up in one way or another with a Chinese party, and that has some, well, it's a whole world how to do that. Let's not cover that, but you will need it. You will need to do it. You will have much faster delivery, and you will for sure have a lot more fixed cost in your operation. And the money you make will be in renminbi and to a local bank. And if you're in the market, you can easily, or much more easily, open up and using the platforms here. And the platforms do have a lot of consumer trust. So that's good. There are marketing tools in the platforms that you can use. However, you may feel, of course, that you cannot do everything on this platform. So your brand will lack or will have some limitation in the expression what you can do compared to a local site, of course. And still the money will be in renminbi in a local bank. Yeah. So the slide here is called use C2C platform for small medium-sized enterprise with a question mark. If you remember what I said, 60% is estimated 2014 to remain C2C. So this is a massive volume going on here, and it's totally dominated by Taobao. If you want to consider some of the pros and cons, open it there. The pros are very large traffic. It's easy to open, or relatively easy to open a shop. It's low cost to operate. The requirements on documentation for the products and also for the owners of the shop is fairly low compared to B2C. And there's a relatively low deposit. However, the owner must be an individual, and it has to be a Chinese citizen, and the settlement of the funds will go to a bank account that person controls. You will also find a lot of let's call it unequal competition in this environment, in this platform. You will find a lot of products. If you open your brand, your product, your really cool thing there, if it's successful, you will find a lot of followers, a lot of other with the same brand, the same name, and the consumer will be really confused and wonder what is the real, what is the genuine one, and you will have to live with this environment. Anyway, there are even though the sales commission on this platform is 0%, there are a lot of hidden marketing costs. You need to drive some traffic in the platform, and you need to use the Alimama the tools that are available, and that will cost some money. So it's not free. And the consumers will, for sure, have low trust in you, and for obvious reasons. So for me, I do not recommend this for small, medium-sized enterprises. However, the volume is massive, and if you really have trust and think that you will not lose control over your the money or the whole site, then this could be a very good way, cost efficient, with a lot of opportunity to try out your products. So it's relevant to be here, but you really need to be careful. Now, B2C platforms, different story. Tmall is an offspring from Taobao, which was when B2C was coming along. So it's only dedicated to B2C, with the second largest market share with Jingdong. And then you have a lot of other platforms, and it's not as easy as just looking at the market share and choosing the biggest one. There are different profiles, and different products will suit better on one platform than the other. So there are really a lot to choose from. I put together a slide to simplify things a little bit for you and do the an example of the platform pricing to explain a little bit what's going on. So I chose ChinaPay eMall, Jingdong, two versions of Tmall, Amazon, and then for reference to the far right there, Taobao, which would be C2C. So first, they all have some kind of platform fee from 6,000 up to 60,000, with the obvious exception of Amazon and Taobao, which doesn't have it. You will need to make some kind of deposit from 10,000 to 150,000 renminbi to keep the consumer free of damage if you were failing in delivering and stuff like that. The commission will range from 5 to 8%, with the exception of Amazon. So what Amazon did was to, we put the platform fee and deposit to really nothing, and then you will pay a lot of commission instead. So this is an overall, and remember, you saw the market share slide. There's a lot of other platforms to think about.
If I may just add a point here, from my knowledge, a lot of even the Chinese local business, they are relying on some trusted agencies to set up the shop for them on Tmall. And some of these service providers are also providing services in English, so they are catering to foreign business as well.
That's a very good point. So that's the way how you really can operate this thing, get inside the market. Now then, this is a busy slide, but it's some kind of a flow chart on how you will go about the decision points. Selling models into China, you go B2C or C2C, how you're going to do the marketing, ship the product to China, different ways to do that, and stay on the right side of regulations and standards, getting it through the customs if you do it really one by one or in bulk. If you need a local storage or do a direct import model, and how you will do the last shipment to the consumer. Payments are also something to consider, but less of a problem actually. And after sales, of course, how to take care of that and maybe returns. So I'll show you now two cases that do this in two different ways. The first one is a cross-border e-commerce company called Royal Design, and the second one is a wine distributor for overseas wine in China. So Royal Design has no staff in China. It has no ICP license. It runs its own e-shop in Europe. You can see the logos on the right-hand side. It goes Australia, Canada, Denmark, France, Germany, Norway, Spain, Sweden. It's based in Sweden, UK and US, and you see China there. So this is talking about China, this whole example, how they did it. Now, this is an e-retailer, so they have a lot of brands and a lot of products. They have 50,000 products in home design, so these are all cool design products, and it's a higher quality brands, Costa Boda, Orrefors. Well, you may know most of these, Eva Solo there, for example. So they typically, when they open a new market, they typically don't say, okay, we need to open up a local entity in that company. They will say, no, internet is one country. So we will work on our economies of scale, and we will of course sell on the internet and do nothing locally, or as little as we possibly can. So if you look at this picture on the left-hand side, you will see everything is translated from English to Chinese with a service provider. On the top-hand side, you will see the customer service there. So if you click that, you can do a instant messaging session with the staff, which is a service provider in Beijing. So they will answer immediately on phone or instant messaging or email or well, that's basically it. But you need that. The consumers will try. Are you alive? They will just ask silly questions. Did you really deliver, or is this product really green? But just to see that things are going and someone is behind this site. If you're not, will think you don't need customer services, it will not work at all. So moving on a little bit on the right-hand side, you will see when they go paying on the front page of this shop, you will see UnionPay logo there, and that is good. That is the UnionPay payment brand. It has a brand recognition of, I think, 99 point more than that %. It was Nielsen who did some research about that a couple of years ago. So that, of course, will give some confidence to this site that this is okay. This is a trusted party. So when they make the payment, they will check out, and they will have the price offered in renminbi. You can see it on the right there, and they will move into a process. The payment process is much longer than, much more complicated than in Europe, what you would be used to, a Visa, MasterCard thing. But still, everyone is used to this, and they manage to do it. So in the end, they will be at their issuing bank and follow through with the payment. And then the delivery is taken care of by, in this case, with FedEx, so shipped all the way through customs into the end consumer in China. They also do Jingdong. This is their shop in Jingdong, also set up by a service provider for them. This selection of products, so they don't have all the 50,000 products here, but right now they have something like 200 of the best-selling things. And right now they've been at it for maybe one and a half year and got everything, the whole process is rolling and working. So now they are considering to ship some products, not one by one, but ship a larger bulk of most selling products into China before they sell it. So that's a cross-border e-commerce company. And moving on to our next guy here, Ever Wines, which is the B2C channel, the online channel of something called Torres China. So this was founded by Miguel Torres, 97, and the online shop was formed in 2000. They have a lot of employees in China, and I think they started with rebottling wines here. So they actually one of the main distributors of wine, of foreign wine in China, and selling it online. They really did it thoroughly to make this. These are higher, white-collar Chinese and expats is their target consumers, and they really wanted to give them a good delivery and experience to buying these wines. So they developed their own courier service to deliver the wines. And also they try to select the wines that if you see them TV or movies or somewhere, some kind of interesting wine, you will find it on this site. So they concentrate on the wines that are not yet readily available in China, and they're doing quite well. But this is a totally Chinese company based in China, and just the online arm is online here. So they do not sell on platforms. And I think that's to round it up with some of the challenges here and best practices. I think we touched upon a bit about the IPR questions, that there might be limited control over intellectual property rights. There's a whole lot to be said about that, but we didn't say so much other than Taobao. I can just say that on Tmall, they also have this problem, and now they have launched online forum where you can complain about these things, and they have 7 million questions or complaints per year. So this is some kind of problem for sure. When it comes to price sensitivity, I think this is less of a problem. For sure, price is always an important factor in China, and having a good offer or making it look like a good offer is always important. However, you can do a lot of things by offering convenience and also unique products, or just trust of quality, or just quality, or just the perceived higher quality. Customer service is really important. Europeans normally think that this is part of the cost of sales, but here it should be considered as part of your marketing. This is part of your sales. You can almost not do any online sales unless you have customer service who do the last step to convince them and show them that you're alive. So other than that, the last one, language and marketing, I think also a lot of Europeans think that we can take any Chinese in Europe and have them translate things, and it doesn't matter if they come from Hong Kong or Taiwan or whatever, but it does. It does it for sure. So you cannot. It must work, right? So looking at some of the things that we really need to do to make it work. Online, you should really avoid to get bad credit, and don't cut corners, and really get good service. So customer relationship management is really important. It's not so expensive to handle here at all as in Europe, and you must do it. And overall, as a strategy, start small. and use some kind of evolutionary approach with low fixed cost and build from your experience, and when you see the demand coming, you grow from there, rather than thinking of a big scale and sit down for 9 months and make a super giant plan and roll it out. That's basically my recommendation. So that's pretty much it for me.
Thank you, Carl. I think one of the biggest takeaway that I learned from today is that, first of all, China is definitely worth exploring from the online perspective. If you are not considering this approach yet, you're like me, who didn't buy anything on a single day, which I still regret. And also, there are many models to get access to China. So you do not have to physically be here to start considering selling online. Actually, you can start it preparing or setting up your e-business when you are still based in Europe, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. And if you are selling services, it will be it will be a little bit easier actually. So yeah, should we do some questions?
Yes, and we have collected some questions from you. In the interest of time, I guess we will pick a few to answer, but we will make sure to get back to you after the webinar. So the first question we have is, which is the best platform for food in B2C?
Yeah, well, I think SF Best would be one choice. I think there is another one who is run by the China Post. I'm not sure we should do this, but both of them are for food. Food is getting more and more popular, I would say, more attention to be sold online, even though it's not it's just, I think, 2% of what is sold online. It's still a lot, of course. So consider those two.
If from a consumer perspective, if I could just add a few points, well, Tmall, Taobao is still the biggest. There are just so many food and beverage products sitting there. Everything is there. But sometimes people are concerned about the quality and the choices. And there are some very specialized websites. For instance, the Costco. Costco have a website called Womai, www.womai.com. I think many of my colleagues are buying snacks over there, and they buy together like a group buying thing. Well, other than that, if you are in a high-end food and beverage sector, there are other very specialized websites. For instance, if you're selling wine, then the Every Wine that we mentioned is a trusted choice. Otherwise, for instance, there's another one called Shunfeng Best. This is set up by one of the best delivery company actually, and they are focusing on the high-end imported products. So that one is also worth exploring. Okay, yes, so we got another question. Do Chinese buy food via e-commerce?
Yeah, well, that's a lot of food questions. Yes, as you heard, they do. And I think that now, yeah, it's really 3 pretty large initiatives, which is not so old at all, that is targeting this segment now. So if you have food products or access to them, that is definitely interesting to research more. I think some of them are not doing totally great, but they're still, for sure, ramping up. Sure.
Okay, we have another question. Any idea what a service provider will charge for their service?
Yeah, I got an idea. I think there are several that have several models available for you, and maybe they will start with something like a fixed fee per month, and then on top of that, a commission on the sales, or any combinations of that. But I think the sales would be something close to just below 10% up to 15%, depending on how much is done. And I know there are some really, I think it's out of range for SMEs, but some of these service providers would charge you 100,000 renminbi just to get started, and on top of that, something else. But that would be for more high level. So you can get it without any fixed cost, or basically without fixed cost. One other thing, if you want to find out more service providers, I think it's a good idea to contact your Chamber of Commerce in Beijing or Shanghai. They have a lot of good contacts, and they know who they have experience from, and they can make recommendations. I think that's an excellent idea to go forward.
I guess in the interest of time, we have one more question. Okay, so there's a question that said, just now you mentioned service is easier. So how much easier and why?
Well, I think I cannot answer with 10 or something, but the reason it's easier, let me expand a little bit. Products, tangible products, you need to ship them, right? You can just imagine they have to be shipped, they have to be controlled, there could be something dangerous in there, could be explosives, there's a lot of handling going on. While an intangible service could be you selling some hats to your avatar, right? Usually that's a whole different thing. You don't need all this handling. However, content is also in China can be very sensitive, so it cannot be any politically challenging content. That in that case you would be risking to be what do you call it, blocked. So you cannot be seen unless you have VPN or something. So I think that's on top some kind of answer for you.
So with this, we come to the end of the webinar today. I want to thank Carl for your time and expertise, and also thanks for everyone who joining for today and your active contribution. Please remember that at the end of the webinar, there will be a survey. It takes less than a minute to fill in and is of great value for us. If you have further questions and suggestions, I would encourage you to register on our website and use the Ask Expert link to submit your questions. The EU SME Centre is funded by the EU to support EU SMEs to access China. So we look forward to hearing from you. And stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.